With training camp right around the corner, the Philadelphia Eagles are getting some wild developments as rookie linebacker Jihaad Campbell just sent a message to the NFL that should get Philly fans fired up. And a recent update also suggests that he could be ahead of schedule in his injury recovery. Meanwhile, we also got an update on a potential Reed Blankenship extension, while Nick Sirianni did something unexpected, and Bryce Huff spoke on his fallout with the Eagles, and you're probably not going to like what he said. So I'm going to talk about that and all the other latest Eagles news starting right now. So as I said, Philadelphia Eagles training camp is right around the corner, specifically with the team reporting back for the first time on July 22nd before practicing for the first time on July 23rd. So we got just a little over 2 weeks to go before football season is officially here, which is kind of crazy. But while all the hype is obviously being directed there, the latest big story to come out for the Birds has to do with a player that isn't even on the team anymore. That being now 49ers edge rusher Bryce Huff, as of course, San Francisco's newest addition spent last season in Philadelphia after signing a huge contract with them in free agency, and as we all know, things didn't exactly go to plan, as Huff clearly was not a fit within the Eagles defense and Vic Fangio's scheme, which we discovered pretty much right away, and combine that with an unfortunate injury and the emergence of some of Philly's young edge rushers, and you have the situation that played out where Huff was bad when he did play, he was listed as a healthy scratch for the Super Bowl, and of course he ended up being traded to the San Francisco 49ers just one season into his 3-year contract. And now, in the aftermath of that trade, Huff has since spoken and gave us his thoughts on the whole situation, and he revealed that he knew pretty early on that it just wasn't going to be a good fit for him in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I'm being 100% honest with you, I wanted to trade fairly early on, and just because of how things went in Philly, I knew pretty early on that it wasn't a fit. But being a signing of that magnitude, being undrafted and going and getting that contract and being in Philly, the expectations are at an all-time high. So I knew a trade wasn't going to happen during the season. But I had just kind of talked to my agent about it. I was like, yeah, when it's all said and done, I might need to step, just to be able to put myself in the best position to ball out and have a fruitful career. And there's a plethora of things that went down. I don't want to get into specifics, but
Course.
I being in the league for five years last year. I'm going into my 6th right now, but being in the league for 5 years, I kind of knew what it felt like for me to be what's the word? To be in a good situation, and that's just what I was like, yeah, I gotta look out for myself and do what I think is best. So I mean, I kind of knew where it was headed fairly early on into the season, but probably even training camp, if I'm being honest with you. But so when everything kind of popped off, it was just yeah, all right, let's get to work.
Now, Huff did go on to give the Eagles credit for winning the Super Bowl and to the younger pass rushers for stepping up. And look, I mean, I get it. Of course he's going to want to be in the best possible position to succeed and have a successful career. That being said, it does kind of rub me the wrong way that he was already saying he wasn't a good fit early on in the season and even as early as training camp. I mean, on one hand, yes, there is some truth to that, but at the same time, he was more than willing to sign this big money contract with the Eagles in free agency. Yet, it seems that when things got kind of tough, even as early on as training camp, he was ready to call it quits in Philadelphia. As again, he said that he wanted a trade very early on in the season. So again, personally, that kind of annoys me because you can see from an outsider's perspective how that kind of looks like he quit on the team. But hey, it is what it is. I'm not in that locker room or in Bryce Huff's head, so maybe it wasn't like that. And either way, the Eagles won the Super Bowl and Huff isn't here anymore, so even though he created the mess, I'm just glad Howie Roseman got us out of that, and both sides can just move on. And besides, the Eagles don't got time for drama like that right now anyway, as not only do they have high hopes of a Super Bowl repeat for this upcoming season, but right now, it is still summer break, and while still getting work in, the guys should get to enjoy the time that they have off before it's officially back to work. And they've surely been doing just that, and that includes safety Reed Blankenship, who just got married a few days ago, so congrats to him, and also head coach Nick Sirianni, who attended a recent Phillies game at the bank. And if you'll notice, he could be seen sporting a new but familiar haircut. As that's right, the buzz cut is back, the Baldiani era is in full force going into training camp, which, if you remember how last season went, that pretty much guarantees that the Eagles are going to go back-to-back. I mean, let's not forget, last season, the Eagles had a fairly shaky start, going just 2-2 in their first 4 games, but all it took for them to turn things around was a much-needed bye week and a shaved head from head coach Nick Sirianni, as the Birds went 16-1 in their remaining games after the buzz cut, which of course ended in a dominant Super Bowl victory over the Chiefs. So the fact that he's done it again, I'd say, is a good sign for Philly's chances at a Super Bowl repeat. All jokes aside, though, the Birds can't get caught up in thinking about a repeat right now. I mean, like Nick Sirianni always harps on, when you're climbing the mountain, you can't be focused on the top. You just got to be focused on the next step and the next step and the next step. And again, day 1 of training camp is really that next definitive step for the Birds. So I'm really looking forward to that. But actually backtracking a bit to the aforementioned Reed Blankenship, one of the big storylines ahead of training camp has been what's going on with him and his contract situation, as of course he's set to enter the last year of his current deal, so the possibility of an extension has been thrown around a lot this offseason. However, there's really been no concrete news hinting that a move is going to get done anytime soon. And in fact, the only real update that we've got came just a few days ago, where Anthony DeBono was on a live stream for the Philly Special Show, and he straight up said, quote, "Last I heard, there have been no talks about a contract extension. So I just keep it there. According to a source, there have not been talks between the Eagles and Reed Blankenship at this point." Now, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of that because, as you guys know, I really like Reed Blankenship. I think he's a great player. I love his skill set and what he brings both on and off the field. Plus, he's young, and I feel like you could probably get him for a pretty good price right now if you extended him. And in fact, Josh Davis of the Philly Special Show speculated that a deal could fall somewhere in the 3-year, $36 million range. So that would be about $12 million a year for the Ghost. Now, to be clear, that is just speculation, so we don't know what an actual deal could look like, whether it'd be higher or lower than that. But again, I think that's good value. And if the Eagles could get something in that ballpark, then I'd do it instantly. However, I do think we have to consider that us as fans, we just don't really know all the ins and outs of the Eagles cap situation right now. I mean, sure, they currently have $30 million in space this year, but that's not taking into account that they have at least 4 star players that they're surely going to want to extend over the next 2 off seasons, along with a bunch of massive contracts that are already on the books. So, maybe it's tougher to pay Reed than we think, and say one of the Eagles' young safeties breaks out this season, then maybe they might feel comfortable just letting Blankenship play out his contract and walk next year. But that said, that's all just speculation, and I've also seen somebody, specifically writer Ryan O'Leary, suggest that Blankenship could hold out from training camp and try to force the Eagles to extend him, citing the leverage Blankenship would have considering the Birds' uncertainty at the safety position. Now, personally, I don't think that's going to happen at all, but again, it is just more speculation and something to think about. But I'm curious to know all your guys' thoughts on the Blankenship situation down in the comments below. Do you think they will end up extending him? Do you think they're just going to let him play out his deal? Do you think there's any sort of possibility that he could hold out? Again, give me your thoughts down in the comments. Moving on though, aside from that, there are plenty of other storylines heading into camp, and recently we've actually seen footage of several players working hard and grinding in preparation for the beginning of this next journey. And that includes Saquon Barkley, who looks to be in peak condition and ready to follow up his record-breaking season with another incredible year. And then you also got edge rushers Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt, who both were in attendance for Von Miller's annual Sack Summit, as I covered in a video last week. And again, there's been footage of both of them putting in work this offseason, including this recent video of Nolan Smith hitting the bags in this drill. Which, side note, it's great to see Smith out here doing stuff like this and using that left arm now months removed from having surgery to repair his torn triceps injury that he suffered back in the Super Bowl. I mean, you can see that he's got a brace on that left arm, so I'll be curious to see where he is in his recovery by the time that camp starts and how much of a participant he will be. But again, it's just good to see him still out there working hard and using that arm in some capacity. And very similarly, I think the recent updates that we've gotten regarding Eagles rookie linebacker Jihaad Campbell are very promising as well, as recent videos show the first-round pick getting in some nice work and going through a bunch of different drills, and very notably, using both arms and both shoulders to perform several rip moves. And considering that Campbell is coming off of offseason shoulder surgery that kept him basically sidelined for all of Eagles rookie minicamp, OTAs, and mandatory minicamp, seeing him here going through these drills and using that shoulder in some capacity is no doubt a great sign, and it could maybe even hint that he's a bit ahead of schedule in his recovery. Now, if you'll remember, Vic Fangio had said that Campbell likely wouldn't get out on the field in full capacity until around mid-August, so maybe that's still the case, but again, seeing him use that shoulder here makes me think that he could be a little bit ahead of that. Now, again, that is just speculation, and who knows, maybe I'm wrong, but either way, I just think it's exciting to see Campbell going hard and getting in work ahead of his rookie season, and I just cannot wait to see what kind of impact he's able to have both in his rookie season and also for years to come in Philadelphia. And Campbell himself actually just recently spoke on that and his hopes for his career, saying, quote, "I want to change games, win games, and feel what it's like as a player in Philadelphia. I've been a fan, so I know what it feels like on that side. I want to know how it feels on this side." And again, hearing those comments from Campbell just get me so fired up, and I think he captures the thoughts and feelings of pretty much every lifelong Eagles fan if they were to get to play for the team. Like, that would just be insane to experience. And for Campbell, he actually gets to do it, and again, I cannot wait to see what kind of impact he's able to make. And based on these comments, it seems like he's just so hungry and motivated to go out there and make a real difference. So again, I can't wait to see what he's able to do. Moving on though, Campbell isn't the only one to make some awesome comments recently, as star wide receiver DeVonta Smith recently talked about his mindset in signing a long-term extension with the Eagles last offseason. And man, his comments could not put a bigger smile on my face, as he said, quote, "I could have waited for the open market, chased a bigger deal, but I chose loyalty over money. Philly believed in me before I caught a single pass, and now I want to help bring this city a back-to-back Super Bowl. This team, this fan base, that's my legacy." You know, as a fan of this team, I don't think you could possibly want a player to have any better of a mindset than that. I mean, that is like ultimate respect, ultimate selflessness, ultimate loyalty, ultimate team first and winning mindset coming from DeVonta Smith there. So huge shout out to him. Give this man the credit he deserves as one of the NFL's best receivers. And I think on a broader level, this is one of the things that makes the Eagles culture so great, because Smitty isn't the only guy who thinks like this. I mean, the Birds have plenty more players with this selfless team-first mindset, and that's one of the things that's made them one of the NFL's best over the past several years. And again, the hope this year is for a Super Bowl repeat, and I'm going to be covering this team throughout their entire journey. So if you guys don't want to miss any of that, then make sure you subscribe and you turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded, or I upload a short, or I go live. I got plenty of stuff coming, so again, you're not going to want to miss it. So subscribe, turn on notifications, and also drop a like down below on this video if you did enjoy, because it really helps me out a ton. See if we can get to at least 500 likes on today's video. And also leave a comment down below just regarding anything that I talked about in this video. What are your expectations for somebody like Jihaad Campbell going into this season? Do you think Reed Blankenship will be extended? Again, just give me your thoughts down in the comments below. And also, if you want to watch another Eagles video going over 7 unexpected moves that the Eagles could still make late this offseason, you can check this out right here. Now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.